Welcome in December 1st edition of Coffee and Chel. Hope everyone had a great weekend as we are coming into the Christmas season. It's almost the holidays. So again, I hope everyone had a great weekend. Today's episode, we are going to talk about the next gen event, a lot of that, what I've learned from Market Monday throughout the first season, as well as some pretty substantial changes to how I play the game and what I'm doing with the Combo Nexus event. We're going to talk a little bit about some news in gaming, as well as an update on my sanctuary that man, the chair saga is just gonna live on in infamy. So let's start out first with the second week of the Combo Nexus event. So we got all 10 of the Master Set player items, and I did my rankings yesterday. And so if you haven't checked that out, I go into detail as to where I think that every player is going to go. And essentially where I'm leaving it is with Larkin being a must-make. I know that if you have his Team of the Week item, his Team of the Week card is arguably better based on just abilities. However, looking at the totality of everything and the fact that Larkin can fit, it's funny, again, try not to go sidetracked here, but if you have, I think when it comes to making Master Set player items, and if you should or not, it's kind of dependent on what you have already. So what I mean by this is that Philip Horonic, okay, which is one of the most annoying names to say, by the way. Just from spelling, and I don't know, it always frustrates me for whatever reason, because it sounds like Ronick, but it's Ronick. I don't know. Anyway, so if you had Z Booyam from the next gen event, which not a lot of people did, I would assume, like, if in terms of the total player base, that his card wasn't unbelievable. So if you were a fan, then yeah, you probably made him. But like, if you had Z Booyam, then yeah, you want to make Philip Horonic. That's going to be important because he fits into a line combo that makes him pretty substantial, right? So I believe it's +3. Might be a +2, but there's a bunch of other stuff and everything like that. So if you had that card, that makes Philip Horonic far more important to you than other players. And it's hard to do rankings because I'm trying to help everyone and give a context to everyone's teams. But this year, more than ever, I don't want to say teams are different because they end up being roughly the same. But how we get there is far different because now people have far different. Your collection is so different, right? That's what I mean by we end up getting to the same spot, but the journey there to the end of the season and the must-have like line combinations, those aren't here yet. So early on in the season, it looks like what determines it is what you already have. So speaking to that, if you made Kucherov's Beast Mode item, which I would say, man, again, it's hard to put numbers on this, but if you are someone who only plays online, I would assume that almost everyone made it. And not only that, it was so easy to make the 81s. If you're listening to this episode of this podcast, you hopefully listened to me and made all of the Master Set items at the time. So if you had Kucherov's Beast Mode card, as well as a Washington Capital, which you could use Gartner, another very popular buildable card, right? As well as a game Combo Nexus card, you get a +2 overall bonus. And +2 is kind of where things, you can start to notice it a little bit, especially at the high end. So if you went and made Dylan Larkin's card, you could have him be the center for Gartner and Kucherov, which one of the better lines that's buildable in the game, or was buildable if you had Kucherov, right? Whereas his Team of the Week item can't do that. Right, it can fit into a lot of other things, like the triple Red Wing line, 3 Americans get +7 million. If you wanted to go the route of his Team of the Week card, I think that's fine. Like, if you are pretty strapped for resource and like that, and you had Larkin and you wanted to make Kempe instead, totally cool with that. Totally cool. Or if you want to go Hughes even. I think Hughes' card is really good. Don't blame you at all. But for me personally, I am going to make that Larkin, even though I have his Team of the Week card. No matter what, guys, understand this. You're not going to lose a lot of value because you'll eventually be able to trade in that Team of the Week Larkin. It might even be this week because this month we only had 2 weeks. The scale of overalls exploded, right? Like, we had 2 weeks of 87 overall Team of the Week, and then it rolled over to 88 Team of the Week. So I don't even know what's going to happen for this season. I have no idea. This just goes to show that it is not predictable. Like, the days of being like the smart in it, like you're I'm gonna save everything for fantasy, then save everything for team of the year, ignore everything. Like that's gone because we have no idea how stuff is gonna work, right? It changes so often. We can make guesses and like educated guesses, but the only way to be completely safe is if you just have everything and you just hold on to it. But they have no coins, right? So it looks like you might be able to trade in Larkin sooner rather than later. So I'm gonna make his card again. You can make it 2 for free if you're really doing your chores week 1 and 2, which I have been. So I'm gonna go Larkin and I'm gonna make Eklund because I am a Sharks fan. And God, so here is actually let's touch on the other MSPs. The Hughes Hronek thing. There's a couple line combos with a Czechia player and a Canuck on defense or in net. You can go with the XP path Hronek if you want to make Kuch or you want to make Hughes, and you get a pretty decent bonus. It's actually not bad, guys. So if you wanted to go that route and not make Hronek's MSP, I don't think Hronek's MSP is worth it compared to his combo Nexus card. There are a few line combos and things like that. It's just not enough for me because I know we're gonna get better ones. So I would rather go that route. That's how I would play it out. So I also wanted to touch on an experiment. Okay. So we're going to talk about Market Monday and all the things I learned in terms of the market after a full season. And after seeing how the line combos work, I know that a lot of this year more than ever, they are clearly taking the data of what is engaged with and making adjustments about what to release. And you guys know that I've been big lately on, I'm not like hyper focusing on EA. I'm just, like I said, I find it very interesting learning about what's going on in the gaming industry. And I talk about this. You guys are probably sick of hearing me talk about it, but we're at a choke point for companies making money. And yes, it's always been about money, but we've never seen in the gaming industry the point at which players are kind of checking out. So the ones remaining, they're squeezing as hard as possible. And the best way to show you guys this would be in the store right now, there's 43 packs you can buy. 43. I went back on NHL 24. There's 5. You go back even further, there's just less. And you knew what they were. Remember like an ultimate pack or an ultimate choice pack? I could tell you what was in those. I have no idea what these made up nonsense packs are that they just come out with. But what's worse is that they're more expensive than for the same product that we got a couple years ago, because that's what's happening. When you've got to the point where you're not getting new revenue, you've just got old revenue, and the player base is just going to get squeezed harder. The people that spend money now in game, you're getting less for what you spend, right? Because with less, then you're more inclined to spend more because you've got to make up for the lack of, you know what I mean? Like it's like inflation to an extent. But that being said, what they've come up with this line combo system, they can see what sets are being done, what cards are being used, all of that stuff. They've always been able to, right? But it got me thinking, specifically about a few cards in general. So I use this one as an example, but I think it's a perfect example. That, oh man, I always forget. Is it Clayton Keller or Cooley? I think it's Clayton Keller's MSP from the Marquee event, which wasn't a bad card. It honestly wasn't, right? It's just he plays on a team that's not very popular in the totality of the player base, and the card wasn't a separator. And I think my hypothesis, and maybe this is a tinfoil hat theory. Again, I have no interaction when it comes to this with the dev team. I'm very open about what I do and do talk about with you guys. I try to make that stance very clear, and so there's no hiding or anything like this. I would hazard a guess that looking at a few line combos, this one specifically with that Clayton Keller from the Marquee event, they looked at what were the least made MSPs. Let's jack up or make a line combo that utilizes those cards and make it so good, the line combo so good, that those cards are now usable, but then let's release a card that fits perfectly in it. Right? Like, how often did a new line combo come out that worked perfectly for a high-end, everyone had master set player? And I'm sure there's one. I'm trying to think off the top of my head recently. Like they kept Robrick and DuPont in there, but I think they had to because those are limited edition, like or not limited, but you only got them via packs. Um, I'm just trying to think of, do they have they really been utilizing that? So it'd be funny if you made all of the least popular Master Set player items from an event if you had no interest in other ones and where you would end up. Because I bet you any money, like I'm trying to think from this event what would be the least made, and I think it's probably Gensel because there is line combos for Gensel, by the way, guys. But there's a lot of Tampa Bay Lightning, and you can build Stamkos, and a lot of people had Kucherov, and they're better, and I think than Gensel, right? So just a weird guess of mine. I could be completely off, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if we see more of that with making the least made MSP because they're going to come out with a line combo that fits that card specifically in like 2 weeks. I don't know. It'd be interesting. It'd be funny to check. We gotta bookmark this and come back. Okay. All right. Let's talk about theme teams. All right. So I did Hut Champs this weekend, and while playing, noticed a couple things. A lot of people. I'm still using my lefties on the left, righties on the right. I started this 2 weeks ago, guys. I'm getting the exact same. I stopped playing champs this week at about, I think I had like 4 games left to go. I was like 10-3, right? Matt doesn't check out there. I was like 10-4. Lefties on the left, righties on the right. Like if you are good at the game, and so good is subjective. I consider good if you can get the platinum. I think if you can get the platinum, you're a knowledgeable, decent player. All the sweaty tryhards that are higher than, like, actually, you're ass if you can't get top 100. Like, sure, top 100 in the world for a video game, regardless of how small it is absolutely asinine. That makes you in the higher end of the game for sure. But good is like, I used to say that good would be Division 2 in NHL 25. Like, you're a pretty good player. You to get to that level, you understand all of the mechanics, whether you utilize them or not. You at least have a understanding of how to play well. Okay. And by going lefties on the left and righties on the right, I do not give myself a bigger advantage. I think that there are certain instances where there is for sure a bigger advantage, but they are very minuscule in comparison. However, what it does is by forcing you to cycle the puck, like when you have lefties on the left, you have to move the puck around because if you just stand still, there's no good shot. Like you're not like, you know what I mean? When you have opposite-handed wingers and opposite-handed defensemen, at some point you could just like beat one player that's manually being controlled on defense, and you've got to beeline in to shoot the meta shots that are going to go in, right? That has always been. However, when you play lefties and left, righties and right, it's forcing me to hold on to the puck more, which I've talked about this for years, is a skill gap. The ability to be comfortable to hold on to the puck in the offensive zone when you have nothing available to you is a skill gap. There are so many of you that if I watched your gameplay, and I want you to take note of this as well when you're playing next time, okay? Just take note of it, all right? When you're playing, do you feel anxious when you enter into the zone, okay? And your go-to goal is not there. Everyone has a go-to goal, and it's not always the same for everyone. Everyone has a go-to goal. When everything breaks down, this is the one thing that you're going to try, okay? Everyone has it. When that happens, do you run around and cycle because you think that's what you should be doing, and then you run out of room? Whether it's because you're looking for passing lanes and there's nothing, and you just, while looking away, run into another player, like AI or user, or you force a pass that isn't there because you feel like, oh my God, I got to move it. And if you do that, you need to learn how to hold on to the puck more. The best players in the world hold on to the puck, but it's the way they hold on to the puck. They're not always moving. They're waiting for you to move a lot of the time, and then they move based on your reaction. If you get your opponent to move first on the defensive side of things, you are in control, right? And that's a skill gap. And when you play wingers on the strong side, on their strong side, it forces you to constantly moving, whether it's to get a player into a one-timer situation or just because you need something to move. And I've really I've really started to enjoy that. And because of that, my time on attack is through the roof. Like, you don't have to defend if you're in the offensive zone. And I think that's one of the benefits of it. The other one is rebound goals. So if you're on a 2-on-2, okay, and you've got strong sided wingers, I've literally just thrown it on, and when the goalie kicks out the rebound, either my streaking winger will just score because they're on the strong side, ready for a strong shot, or they'll get into the corner and go get it. The rebounds in this game are like dictated for your players to go get it first, or the offensive players to go get it first. So the other thing that it's made me do is play for abilities. So because I don't have any advantage not being on my offhand, I need to use the abilities that all of my cards have. So whether that's unstoppable. So when I have Lindros or Barkov with unstoppable, I am utilizing that more than anything else when that player has that card or the puck, right? I'm playing completely different when the puck is with those two players as opposed to when I have it with McKinnon or anyone else, right? That doesn't have unstoppable. Same thing goes for a quick release. Like, I am simply trying, if you can score a quick release shot with elite quick release from just inside the blue line on a wrist shot, if the opponent is backing into the zone and screening the goalie. So when someone is screening, it doesn't matter where the puck is, I'll shoot for it. And I've had a ton of fun with it because I shoot for like what bar down, like with short side, like where you're like, yeah, it's like hitting a perfect home run at MLB. So I'm utilizing that a ton. And then Rocket. I find myself wanting Evan Bouchard's beast mode card. I put him in my lineup, and he's so bad defensively. Like, just so slow, right? You can feel it. And because I'm not set up for one-timers with my defenseman, because, again, that's real life, right? On the power play, I do, by the way. I get the puck I find myself wanting him to be on the ice because the slap shot with Rocket is so funny. Like, I think a lot of people will try to do one-timers with it or shoot for the far side. You can pick it the corner top shelf with it on the short side with Rocket. It is so satisfying, and it's not like real hockey, which is so dumb because that seems like if I'm trying to set up my entire lineup because I want it to mimic real hockey, but then I'm using abilities that are just like completely arcade. I don't know what it is, but it's how I enjoy playing now. And I'm becoming more and more aware of that. I'm really, really starting to like lean into, if I'm going to play a game against someone, win or lose, it's going to be based on this is what I enjoy doing, I think. And I'm really, really leaning into that more and more. So I want to make it clear. Playing your wingers on the strong side is not going to give you more wins. It's not. It is you are putting yourself at a detriment. And I want to explain why. Like, a lot of people won't understand why. It's because there is no threat of a one-timer. So think about when you are defending, okay? And someone has opposite-handed defenseman, like everyone does. At the point when the puck is down low in the corner, okay, you have to have an eye on that defenseman, or he's going to skill-based one-timer you, and it's a very good chance to go in. You have to play for that. When someone has strong side defenseman, they can ignore it. Because even if the pass gets through and you get back to that defenseman, it is not an immediate reaction type thing. Like, I could get the puck back to the point on my strong side and then walk in a little bit, make a move, whatever. But it is not an immediate thing that's happening. That is why, guys, it is so advantageous to do it. It is not because of the ability. Well, it is because of how to get into the spot for meta goals and things like that. But it is your opponent has to respect it. And that is something that a lot of people don't realize. So I know it. I know while I'm playing because I've played this game for so long and I am pretty good. I'm definitely worse and I'm getting worse because I'm just not, I don't have that drive to do the things I have to do to get better at the game every year. If you guys watched my No Money Spent series last year, I got to about May and I was like, okay, time to hit Division 1. And Division 1 and Rivals is so much more difficult than Hut Champs as you go later on in the year because all the best players just stop playing entirely for Hut Champs. It makes it very easy. However, Rivals, because the player pool is so small, you're still playing Division 1 players. Like, you'll be playing the same 3 over and over and over and over again. Very difficult. No matter what time of the year it is very hard to get to Division 1. And I don't even know what the equivalent would be. I don't think Ultimate is Division 1 in NHL 26 because so few people get there. So I think Elite might be Division 1. It might even be like Diamond 4 or 5 if you're looking at just numbers. right? But if you go back and watch that series, I'm like, okay, I have to learn what I have to do, and I'll go into practice mode and I'll figure out and I'll practice the deeks and the plays and the cheesy mechanics that you have to do to give yourself the best shot. And I'm just like, I don't feel like doing that anymore. I really don't. I just don't have the interest in it, right? Like, I want to win every game I play. I want to be better at the game, but I also understand what that entails. And it's funny, this kind of applies to everything. But let's say you want to be a content creator, okay? When you're a content creator, I'm just going to use this as an example, okay? This goes for any video game, by the way, that you want to play competitively. When you're a content creator, obviously you want to play the end goal. You want to play video games to make a living. Duh. However, do you like editing videos? Do you like streaming regardless of how many viewers you have or how much you have to? Do you enjoy those things on days where you're tired or you don't feel like doing anything really, right? Where you're having a lazy day? No, then you're more than likely not going to get there to be a full-time creator. Like, I love editing videos. It is something that I love to do. If you do not like the journey of getting to anywhere in a business or a video game, like if you don't enjoy the journey of learning that skill, you will never not master it. I don't want to say master, but you'll never hit the 1%. I don't know what the benchmark be. Perfect example. You want to be when you're a kid, you want to be a rock star. You want to be this great guitar player. Do you love practicing chords and playing the guitar? No, probably not going to happen. Same thing with lifting. Like, if you see guys that are massive in the gym. I have been a gym goer for 15 years. I am a very average looking guy because I don't love going to the gym. I do it because if I don't, I am a fat mess, and I just refuse that. You know what I mean? Like, even worse than I am already, right? So that's just like kind of an example. Same thing goes with video games competitively, guys. If you don't get excited sitting in practice mode, trying to figure out a specific deke or hand combination to get a goal, and a lot of people be like, I don't want to learn how to cheat the game. Losers do that. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I view it as like, I don't want to say you're a loser, but I want to win, but I want to play something that resembles the sport because I'm getting older and probably because I don't feel like learning this stuff. But a lot of people just want to win, and they get excited by learning something that might give them the ability to win, right? Like, that's the difference, right? And if you don't love that, then you're not going to get to the peak of it. I'm just not at a point anymore where I feel like doing that. In NHL 21, that was my best year ever of NHL competitively. Like, I talk about this all the time. It's probably one of the craziest fork in the road moments of my life. It sounds dramatic, but I'll give you a little bit of a story time here. So, ever since NHL Versus was like consumer based for online play, I would say like NHL 08 probably was when online was regular. Like, everyone had an internet connection, everyone had a console, like a PlayStation 2 or 3. It wouldn't have been PlayStation 2. It would have been Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 era. That's the combo, right? Yes. Yeah. That era. So maybe it was 09, maybe 08. I don't know. Where Versus was how you played online. Like, and a lot of people did it. It wasn't just like a very small section, right? I'd play against my buddies, but then I started playing online. And there was a few years there up until from like 08, 09, and 10. I would get top 100 on the leaderboards in Versus, but I would do it in like April or May when the game's kind of dead. I would get top 100, and then I would just I wouldn't stay there. I would just like take the video, the picture on my crappy camera phone, tell my buddies, and then I would just stop playing and I would follow it, right? NHL 21, that was when that NHL 21 kind of changed my life in a number of ways, but number one was when that was kind of my blow up on YouTube. I had like 10,000 YouTube subscribers from 2017 or NHL 17 all the way to NHL 20, the launch of 21. I had 10,000 YouTube subs in 4 years, okay? From October, the launch of NHL 21, to December, I ended with 25,000. So I literally more than doubled. And then that all poured into Twitch, and the rest is kind of history. And I had my, that was my boom year. It goes to show how small, like, NHL creators are compared to other games where like 20,000 is like a lot. Like, that's nothing. I only have 70. I'm very proud of it, but I have like almost 75,000 YouTube followers, and I've been at it 9 years. This 26 is my 10th year or my 9th year. Like, it'll be my year by 2027, January 1st, that's 10 years. And I would love to get to 100K by then. I don't know how I'm going to. But, anyways, um, that being said, in NHL 21, I was competitive and GWC was a thing. And I wasn't the voice of it. I wasn't on GWC at all. Well, I did like the pregame show with Tactics. It was like my first year of it. I wasn't involved at all, but I knew in esports I had to be involved. And if I couldn't do it competitively, I would go to all the events and I would figure out a way to like cast it. I was doing all these like esports casts where I would jump around to other people's streams and I'd watch and I'd do play by play for no money, just because, right? I knew that it'd be important. So the qualifiers for GWC and NHL 21, again, I had learned and spent all the time with a lot of the closest people that I was close with in the community at that time were the best players in the world. Even like Padre, for example, like my co-host for Coffee and Chel from before. He was one of the better players, but like Regs, all these guys, John Wayne, all these guys I was very close with. So I would just pick their brain, right? And I learned how to be pretty good at the game. I lost. So to get to qualify for GWC that year, you had to place top 32 and then you would go on, right? And you'd make into the bracket rounds, right? But it was top 32 on each console. Very difficult to do. Very difficult to do. And it wasn't like HUT Champs. Far harder than HUT Champs ever was, right? And my final week, I was one win away, and I ended up matching Cad, who ended up making the finals for GWC, one of the best players in the world. And I lost in overtime, and I had the lead with the final minute to go. And had I won that game, I would have qualified for GWC that year. And why I say it's a fork in the road, because when that round happened and I wasn't a part of it anymore, I wasn't competing, the NHL reached out and asked if I was competing. I said no, I didn't make it, and they offered me to be on the broadcast. So maybe it would have worked out, maybe it would have been even better. But had I made that, I wouldn't have been the voice of the GWC, or I wasn't even the voice. I was a play-by or the color guy. Arda was the play-by-play, all because I lost that one game. And I still have the message from Cad, because if you remember him back in the day, he wasn't always the nicest kid. Kind of had an ego to him. I remember him DMing me being like, "Bro, this is the best you've been. Like, you had me." Like, and I was just like, I saw that message. It was so funny because, like I said, I think that it really changed at least the next couple of years. And then, I ended up becoming the voice of the GWC, replacing Arda, and got flown all over the world to cast the game, and really, really crazy. But that was way down the line there, and that was a off the topic story. But it's crazy how things like that how that go. But in the end, again, I'm just starting to play with the players I like more. So I've been watching more and more Sharks. So over the last couple of years, I'd say the last like 3, how I would watch the Sharks is I'd stay up. Again, I told you guys I go to bed at like 9:30, but I would stay up and watch the first period of almost every Shark game. They'd be getting the piss beat out of them, and then I would just go to bed and I would watch the highlights the next morning, or I would watch it, at the gym, things like that. Listen to it the next morning, and because again, time is extremely important as you get older, and I didn't have the time to stay up to 1 a.m. anymore. I used to love it. I used to love going out, coming home, and then the Sharks game would be on. It used to be so awesome. Now, not so much. I find myself now staying up till 1 a.m., 12:30 to watch the Sharks, because Macklin and Will Smith are like must watch. They're just must watch TV. And I've talked about this a lot this year, that it sucks a little bit, because I know for the future of the next decade that if the Sharks get a top-end defenseman prospect like Verhoff, that I truthfully think that a cup is in the realm of possibility in 5 years. Because I think that that's dynasty-type pieces. Had they just gotten Schaefer last year. Oh, God. Could you imagine the Sharks team with Schaefer? I truthfully think that draft pick is going to haunt the Sharks for a long time if they never make it. If they, the Macklin era is done and they never got that franchise, if they become the Leafs and they never get it because they never got a defenseman, that's gonna, Anyways, watching a lot of Sharks, and I talked a lot about how the MLB video game made me 3 years ago maybe fall in love with the Red Sox again. I've always been a Red Sox fan, but again, I'd watch a couple innings here or there. I'm obsessed with the Red Sox now. also because it's on at 7 p.m. Like I watched, I would say about 130 games in their entirety this year, the last 2 years, 3 years, all because the MLB video game was so good over the last. Well, the sets and season was pretty bad, but I enjoyed it so much that it made me want to watch the real sport. And NHL is the opposite. If you don't like hockey, like the video game is not going to like it. You have to like hockey first because the game has so many flaws, right? And it's making me want to watch the Sharks now more and more. Vice versa, sorry. I'm watching the Sharks and now I want to use them. So I'm looking at the theme team options, and I would love to know in 5 years or when the current content team moves on to another game and they can talk about it. A lot of people say that like, oh my God, they're releasing Sharks because Sleeves wants them, right? I still don't spend money on the game, guys. But the more and more I think about it, when it comes to content creators, like what do? We don't get paid. We do not get paid. We get paid if we're doing specific content pieces. So again, I like to break the fourth wall there. Like when I do something that promotes Team of the Year, for example, like yeah, I'll get paid for that, right? And last year I was pretty. Anyway, that was. One day I'll write a book. Anyway, so there's certain times that like launch week, they'll ask, do like make a TikTok of like something about Hut, and if I'm enjoying it enough, I'll do it. Right? There's been times where I've said no to paid content that is the easiest money ever because I really didn't enjoy where the game was at last year. I did that multiple times, but that being said, it wouldn't surprise me. Because the content creators are marketing, whether we're bitching about the game or not. We are free marketing in that aspect. Like we are free marketing. Like you guys watching my videos, covering what's going on about the NHL video game. That is free marketing. And I used to think that we weren't owed any. We're not owed anything, content creators. But from EA, we're not. But we do offer something, right? I used to think it was just take. We do offer something because, if I make, 500,000 views in a month covering the NHL video game, that's 500,000 people watching something about that video game. Whether it's good or bad, you're at least watching something about the NHL video game. And I would love to know, there are so many Sharks. And sometimes it's warranted. So the next gen event last year, Macklin, Will Smith, Askarov, 3 of the best rookies in the NHL. Like, whether you want to admit it or not, that made sense, right? But like Macklin's one of the most Macklin's different because he's going to be the cover athlete. Like you can see how much they used him in promos this year. He's in like Be a Pro and stuff like that. The writing's on the wall. Like you can see that he is going to be, if he's not the cover athlete this upcoming season, like if he gets to 100 points, let's say he breaks a record, scores a golden goal or something big in the Olympics, then he will be the cover athlete. Actually, it might not even matter. Him or Bedard, I don't think Bedard really cares at all. Bedard is a kind of an odd cat. I got to meet him, and masters of their craft are always a little weird. You have to be. If you're so obsessed with one thing, you have to be. And maybe I've told that story on stream before, my time hanging out with Bedard. Maybe I'll do it in another episode or something like that. But Macklin is different because he is kind of, everyone knows who he is. But like, Eklund getting the combo Nexus thing, I guess because he's a Swede and they did Kempe and Forsberg and it's just, there's a lot of times where I'm like, man, another Shark? Like even me, I'm like, man, I love it, obviously, because it's a Shark. I'm just like, we got so many, I want to be clear here though, very clear, because Reddit always has a field day with this. For 5 years of me playing this game, the biggest 5 years, so from 19 to 23, NHL 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Yeah, that's 5 years, even though it's only 4. We got no MSPs. We got Burns and Carlson every single year. So I don't want to hear it because I grinded this game nonstop and I could not use Sharks because there was none. And as a Sharks fan, there are very few Sharks fans that like Erik Karlsson. So being force-fed Karlsson every single year was like, ugh. Okay? I want to make that clear. So maybe we're just making up for it now, right? But it wouldn't surprise me. Like, pay attention for this. There's a lot of Red Wings this last one, right? Maybe happenstance, but the Red Wings, no disrespect to Red Wing fans. I think you would agree that you're good, not great, a lot of mid. Not in a bad way, mid in like a good way. Like you're above average. Okay. At least with the Sharks, it's like the top end guys of like the next, like the prospects are so high rated, but it's not guaranteed they'll become anything amazing other than Macklin. If the next season or whatever is New Jersey Devil heavy because they're doing the Metro division, then it's more like, then it is, I think for sure, like someone in marketing is like, hey, push these a little bit more. And I don't like that. I want to see, I think that if you're a Wild fan, it stinks, because you just have nobody. Like, that would suck. And there's a lot of people that like the Wild. Like, I'm not, you know what I mean? And I hope it's not like that. But the more and more I think about it from a marketing perspective, like if I was running the business and I'm am I more likely, I'm going to call a spade, guys. I've been doing this for far too long. I don't care how many sharks they give in an event. I'm going to call an event bad if it is bad. I hope that you believe me on that. If you've been watching me for years, if that has not rung true, you have not been watching me long enough. So it really won't impact me one way or another. So I would like to see some more diversity. But that being said, because I've been watching more of the real thing, I'm really getting that itch to use a pure theme team. And because of the Sharks, dude, I could go Eklund, Macklin, Celebrini, Will Smith's XP card. Then I could go like Misa on the second line. I've got Orlov as my captain. There's the Kurashev at 86 overall. Like I'm not even talking about an all-time Sharks team, like with Thornton and whatnot. I'm talking like current Sharks on the roster. I could make a sick team, I think. And I wonder how many wins that would cost me if I play strong side and all of that with a pure theme team. I wonder what I would get to. Very curious on that. But let's talk about Market Monday, guys. So I didn't do a Market Monday video last week, and I don't know if I'm going to do one this week. I think the reason why is because I think I learned what I needed to learn, right? I wanted to have a resource where I know how the market is going to work for the first season of the game, the beginning section of the game, because after that, if you set yourself up in that first season, you don't have to worry about coins or collection for the rest of the year. So I want to talk a little bit about what I did learn. Not that it isn't important going forward, but I think a lot of the strategies just carry over. Like, it really doesn't matter at what point of the year it is. So number one, hold everything at the start of the year. I sold everything. I wanted coins. I wanted to be liquid. I wanted to just not think about it too much. I'm not someone who's good at the market. That was why I made these videos, is try to pay attention to the market. I'm trying to become better at the market because I don't have any interest in it. I don't care. I just want to play the game. I don't want to play menus. I don't want to play economics. I do not care. And I can't talk about the market by giving you guys tips and like what cards to go buy, because the second I say a card's good and a good price, 20,000 coins immediately. So I can't play it normally, right? So things I learned. I sold everything for coins, and I don't hate that because I had a lot of coins and I was able to utilize them once. But that being said, had I just held on to everything and waited for the spikes. So at a certain point, 79 overalls were going for 1,500 coins. And if I had just waited until one of the events, this last one, where they jumped up to 4,500 and just sold all my 79s then, that's generational hut money, right? And it happens multiple times. A new card will come out and it will acquire some random overall. The big issue here is that they're not doing 82 and above. They're not doing 79 and above cards. And why that's important is because every overall has a specific value that is completely determined by EA. So 78s were useless 3 weeks ago. And then during Chel, was it during Chel week? Yeah, during Chel week, you needed 78 overalls to make an 81. 78 overalls went up to well over 2,000 coins. They were going for bare minimum. Actually, they weren't even selling really for the most part. So if you just hold and then wait for the 2 to 3x price spike, that will happen. And I will be doing that next year. And I'll be doing that probably for the rest of the season. I might try it out. It will happen. And there's like, because EA is not using plus sets. They're just using trade in 79s, right? Just trade in 79s, right? That's really the best way to go about it. So that's something I learned. The next, non-buildable high-end cards. So the perfect example of this, it would be the game breaker Troy Terry. So remember the beginning of the year of the triple duck line, everyone chased after the Ducks. Troy Terry's base card was super expensive, and then his game breaker card came out, and everyone assumed that his base card would tank in price. However, because the card is only in packs and very hard to pull, very few hit the market, and it didn't impact Troy Terry's base card at all. It didn't. The only time that a price will tank, and I'm talking like not slowly over time, I'm talking like we'll go from 300,000 coins to 100,000 coins, is when there is a buildable version of that player. So Troy Terry had a game breaker card, and his card just slowly trickled down, and all cards will lose value. It's like a used car. They'll just slowly use card, and then at some point that card will be a collector item, right? Like during line combos. But so if you were to pull Troy Terry at the beginning of the year, you're probably going to use that card. Immediately sell. Immediately sell. If you want to have coins and set yourself up the best way as possible, that's what I'm going to do. Now, if a buildable card comes out, you can get out. So, buildable McKinnon, buildable McDavid tanked their prices, and they did not recover at all. So, once a buildable high-end card comes out for those players, you can get out. But the problem is, if you don't, the way to get out is if it is an event item. So McKinnon, beast mode item. Don't sell base McKinnon while the beast mode event is on. Wait about a week after. But know that you're going to sell it. When you have McDavid and his captain card does never go away, you can sell. Wait a day or two for the market to even out. It'll fall so hard that it's a buying opportunity. But then it'll recover a little bit. And when you see it recover for like a day and stay within the same like 5,000 coin range, that's when you sell. So those are the two biggest things. But every overall will have a giant spike. And I think that's the biggest takeaway. So whether it's 84s, remember 84s at the drop of season 2 had no use. When I did my card value guide, they had no use. But then you use 84s for the They required 84s were required for the Chel Week event. 84s boomed in price. Like they went way up in price. And that's what you should be doing. So I am now holding on to everything that I get, and I'm saving it for the price spike. And it will happen. There's no way around it. So, and I think that is a format that they're going to continue. And I think that's the best way to go. Fantasy, simply not worth it. I don't want to say they killed the event. They didn't kill it, because it is still a great event. If it was gone, I would be so upset if the fantasy event was gone. But they know the last 3 years of the fantasy event was for the consumer. The price was not overly expensive for what we were getting. We were getting a shot at 99 overalls, and for the most part, they beat progression. Even if they didn't hit 99, they were ahead of progression. If I were to look right now, if you take out the PWHL cards, progression right now is 88 overall. There's only a few. This year's fantasy, again, they didn't make worse selections than normal. Just those cards happen to not be scoring at a clip. Again, I bet you any money, if you go back and look, it's 11 to 13 fantasy items from the event end up hitting 99 almost every year. They just use analytics. So it will even out. But the fantasy event, so it was for the consumer. It was expensive, but we earned enough, and the way that the reward structure work, we were able to get enough to make a couple, or the one we want and get a couple for free, and really get it. This, again, goes back to what's happening in all video games. All the big AAA studios are not making more revenue by game sales anymore. The game sales on almost every video game for AAA titles is starting to fall. And when that starts to fall, they need to cut costs, and cutting costs usually goes with developers. Go and look what happened with EA when they lost billions of dollars in one quarter because of Dragon Age and FIFA cratering in. FIFA 25 lost them insane amounts of money, and they lost about $1 billion in valuation in like one quarter. And when their quarterly earnings call happened last year, they lost a ton of employees. I know a lot of NHL devs that were good, the good ones that were just cut. That's what happens with companies when they're losing money. First thing to go, cut all the, I don't want to say fat, but that's what happens in corporations. They go for the lowest rung of people, and they just start, it's been great. Thank you for your service. We'll see you. This happens in every industry, by the way. But now what happens, the next tactic is, okay, the people that are spending money, how do we squeeze them more? Okay. And the fantasy event is doing that. They know that people will spend money on the fantasy event. If there was one event to spend money on, it is that one. But they made it so expensive where it's like so the fantasy event is simply just like collect your BNDs and that's it, right? Which is sad, but it doesn't surprise. Again, from a business standpoint, this is every game. This is every video game guy. This is why am I mad at EA? Sure, the same way I'm mad at every company like that ends up, you know, triple charging once they realize what the consumer really wants. Right? It just is what it is. It happens in all video games. Like I use Call of Duty as the kind of a whipping boy, but if you're a Call of Duty fan, like just like look at what's happening with your game, right? Like that like I said, that is kind of the main one because it's such a popular game. But the waiting for broken packs though. So this year, the most frustrating part for me specifically is I have no problem with people that spend money in the game. I have a hard time being okay with people that are super critical of the game and spending money. That pisses me off a little bit because, you know, however, I'm not going to police someone's money. I think that's silly. There's a lot of stuff that I spend my money on extremely stupidly. Is that a word? Stupidly? Maybe. That you guys would judge me for. And I don't care at all. Right? So if you want to spend money in the game, go ahead. Issue is, you spend $1,000 the month at the launch of the game. Let's say you spend $1,000 at the launch of the game. You have a lot of stuff worth very little in comparison to if you spent $250 when the fantasy packs were broke. And I don't think they were broke. I think EA saw that there were so few fantasy cards tradable on the auction house that they put, or just in total in the pool, and they put them in packs and left them in packs. And if you spent money and pulled one fantasy card, you have 2 million coins. And that isn't working the market. It's scummy compared to the rest of the player base that plays the game. But it is what it is. And it ruins a lot of the high end, like the hardcore players experience. Because same thing with like Lana DuPont and stuff like that. When you do limited edition cards like that, very frustrating for someone who's no money spent. Because it's like, actionably, like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't want to spend money on the game. And I get that you're in the money-making business. It's a company. But, like, again, I'm just from an era where I think I've just caught up. It's just caught up with me that I'm just sick of spending money on video games when I'm not getting enough out of it. So that's the last market tip, man. Like, honestly, just wait for a broken pack. It will happen a couple times throughout the year. There will be one probably around Team of the Year, something. There will be a pack that comes out. The pull rates are absurd. And even if you have 1 million coins, like, that was the problem. You could bought the packs with coins. If you had 1 million coins, you would have pulled a fantasy card. Or if you didn't, that was super unlucky, but you would have had a strong chance to. And you'd have been set, right? So that will come up. So let's talk a little bit about just like gaming news and things that's kind of interest me over the last little while. Went down the rabbit hole, the price of RAM. So AI is about to be the next like internet bubble. Okay, I don't know if you guys use AI. I've started to use AI, and I think it's a great tool. Scary and is going to have a very positive and negative impact on humanity as we adjust to it. But the biggest thing is that it is like the .com bubble, like it is the internet era, and when the internet first came out, and governments are creating these data centers to be the leader of AI, because it's like it's like the moon or like the space race. The country that can create the most intuitive AI will dominate sectors of the industry of the world and, really take their country to new heights. Not all in the good way, by the way, in a lot in a bad way. But regardless, because of that, the price of RAM to house these data centers, when a government gets involved, not just the US government, any government, again, I was going on the rabbit hole in this. This isn't a conspiracy theory thing. They're building these like data farms, okay? And they're buying RAM at a level that has now hit consumer. So they go to a company and they're like, hey, we need 10,000 units of 32 gigabyte DDR5 RAM. And the company, whoever, like you want to go with Corsair, whoever you use for your RAM, and they're like, okay, we can't make that much. We can make this amount, but we have to save some for the consumer level. Then the government's like, okay, we'll buy all those and we'll buy all the consumer level RAM. So then what happens? Now there's no supply. So people like you, me, whatever, you're building a new computer, you need DDR5 RAM. 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM right now costs about $600. Like, when I was growing up, and I remember my first Dell PC that I bought. Dude, you're getting a Dell. And I was so stoked because I could finally play World of Warcraft, and all my friends that played, I didn't have like this crazy home computer. And WoW at the time required like the top end specs for a computer at the time. But it just goes to show like what it was. My computer cost me like $500 for the whole thing, right? You're saying $600 for RAM. That's the price of a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox just for the RAM, guys, right? And the problem is RAM is in everything. It is in consoles. It is in legit everything. But I'm talking about specifically for the gaming industry. And why this is impacting everything so much is what's happening with Microsoft. So the console wars are dead. Microsoft lost. If you were an Xbox truther, hell yeah, you had the Xbox 360. Unfortunately, the Xbox One pretty much ruined their chance at ever, winning the console war or keeping themselves alive. And what's happened now is Microsoft is just getting out of consoles. So you've seen it. There's been reports where Xbox in the next few years, probably about 5 years, is just going to stop shipping consoles, right? They're just stopping shipping consoles. And scares a lot of people that are like Xbox truthers. So like, then what happens? Well, again, I was doing some digging and going over and looking a lot of like, I was listening to a couple talks about like CEOs and some of the people that are high up in Microsoft and what they're aiming at and things like that. Getting out of consoles, what the future would look like. So you're Microsoft. You want to know the biggest writing on the wall for anyone that doesn't believe that Xbox is going away? Halo is now on PlayStation. That was it. Like that is the final wake-up call if you don't believe it, right? And it's not a bad thing. Sony's PS5, I've been a Sony kid since 1998. This is the worst console I've ever owned that I main. I've had nothing but problems with it. And yes, it works, but I've had a number of problems with it. I can't remember a console that I'd purchased. This is worse than the Ring of Death from the 360 era because at least that got fixed. This has just been an absolute mess. And maybe it was due to the pandemic, things like that. And just, I don't know. But I can't wait for the next PlayStation that comes out because hopefully they'll figure it out. But where I was going with this is that what's happening, or what will happen, is that Microsoft is going to go. They're going to get out of the console business because the margin, the price margin on a console is so low now. So again, you want to ship an Xbox Series X, okay? All right, you're going to charge $600. The price of RAM in the thing is like $250, right? So now your margin for Microsoft is much lower. And don't feel bad for them. I'm just explaining, right? So now their price of margin is so low. And a lot of people will be like, well, they'll just make more RAM and it'll be fine. A lot like what happened with graphics cards and crypto from the big crypto boom. And I got to be honest with you here. Major difference. Yes, the governments went all in or went in on crypto, right? And we're buying up graphics cards and making these crazy crypto farms. But that was more on the consumer level. Like, business-wise, but not government. When governments are involved, guys, we're talking hundreds of billions, a level of which that no company can handle, right? When governments are involved. And I'm not just talking about the US. I'm talking about like all over the world, multiple countries. And when they invest in a sector, that pushes the consumer to the point which like it is not going to fall, right? So Microsoft's going to get out. They're not going to invest in a console. What'll happen is you're going to pay $50 a month and you're going to get their, Game Pass, and the Game Pass will be available on your TV, on your whatever. Like, that is how it works. It would not surprise me if at some point Game Pass was available if Sony makes its next console. And here is why. Companies want you on a subscription, not a console. So when they get you on a subscription, they have you by the balls. Let me explain something here. I want to go and I want to play NHL 26, okay? Or I want to go play NHL 18. I can fire up Game Pass, right? And now I can play NHL 18. I buy it for a couple bucks, right? However, if it's not available on Game Pass or you don't pay for the subscription, you can't play it. I could go back there, grab NHL 18 on a physical copy, and play it. But when that doesn't exist, we are completely owned by the subscription service. And that is what is going to happen. Every company wants to have complete autonomy of what you're playing and how you're enjoying it, because then they set the price. So once it comes out and everyone's like, yeah, this is great, I don't need to buy another console, I can get access to all these games, everything like that, this is awesome. And then it's $10 cheaper, then it's $5 more the next year. And then it's $1.75 more a month than the following year. And then all of a sudden you have Game Pass that's worth $100 a month, and people are going to pay it because they have no other option. And that is where Microsoft is trying to go. That's just where they're trying to go. And from a revenue standpoint, yeah. Like if you were a video game company, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Why? If your console is not going to be able to beat the other main console, and let's not even talk about the Switch, but PlayStation is its main competitor. Nintendo operates in its own ecosystem like that because they protect their IPs so hard that like it's such a weird company that did everything right from an economic standpoint. Everything. Like they milk the same 5 brands for thousands of dollars over like years. Like it is crazy, man. So, but that's what's going to happen with Microsoft. And what's interesting then is the Steam PC was announced. So Steam won. Amazon tried to become Steam, didn't work. They bailed out. Steam is releasing a PC, which is so interesting because Steam is going to be, it kind of already is, but it is going to be on the same level of Netflix, even higher. And I don't mean like money-wise, I mean like notoriety. So what'll happen is you don't have Xbox or PC or PlayStation. You'll have Steam, and the Steam console, right, is just a subscription. Like it's kind of like, it's not a subscription service, sorry. It's a digital library. Again, you don't have a subscription to Steam. You could just go in from a library of all these games, pick it, and there you go, right? Microsoft doesn't want that. Microsoft wants you to pay monthly. But anyways, that was a long-winded rant and just something that I think that this will all happen within about 5 years. I think by 2030, Xbox won't exist. Xbox will be around, but we won't have a new console. We'll have whatever their subscription service is. Game Pass will be available on every console, on every TV, and then it's like, how are these games going to run on a TV? Again, the innovation has kind of stopped, guys. The consoles have not improved, really. Like it's not like you're going from PlayStation 2 to PlayStation 3. They've capped out unless you want to spend $1,000 on a graphics card that goes internally to push it even further. But that's not going to happen because, again, outside sources are buying up all of the necessary hardware, right? So I don't know. Thought it was kind of interesting, and yeah, I have an update. I'm gonna save this for the next episode because we're almost an hour in. The last 2 weeks of my life, guys, has been the most. I don't want to say the worst. That's not the right word. The most inconvenient, challenging from a annoyance standpoint. How many of you guys had a day where obviously there's one big stressor, but then it's like everything that you do has a yeah, but. Or I'll give you an example. You have an annoying day, you know it's going to be tough. You go to make coffee, right? You go and look, no coffee grinds. It's like, okay, I guess I'm not having a coffee. Put it away. You go to have breakfast, you go to open up your drawer, no clean spoons. Like, but it's like everything. Guys, I have had the most ridiculous 2-week stretch of my life from a health standpoint, from just everything has been challenging. And I don't want you to feel bad. It's a hilarious sequence of events that it deserves like 20 minutes on its own. And I think that I'll probably do. I'll open next episode with that. All right. I know a lot of people are like, man, we don't want to hear about that. Get to Hut, but yeah, I think that's probably the play. All right, on to today's comments from the prior video. We're going to start with a channel member. So I turned memberships on my YouTube channel, guys. I think it's like $5. If you want to become a member, support me a little bit more. I'm always going to highlight a channel member. You'll get like this cool little badge of my logo beside your name when you comment on my videos. And I'm going to highlight one for every coffee and Chel. So again, there's a member there. If you don't want to, don't worry. I'm gonna focus on the one that I like the most of each of the for every video. So Max says I've just quit grinding on Hut. If my favorite player is there, I'll grind, but otherwise I've stopped caring. I don't care about ranked anymore, nor champs. I play champs to challenge myself, but not for the rewards because they all suck. I sell hot overall cards when the market blows up. Otherwise, I keep everything. I only play to have fun and score with my favorite cards. My new flex is using my favorite cards, still using Chara with the +1 with a whopping 84 skating. I'm like, I can feel myself getting older, not like, oh my God, you're in age. I'm in like video game years. Like I'm literally that guy where I'm like, I'm only using my favorite play. You know what I mean? Like I used to be like, bro, like just whatever. I understand it now. I think it's not so much that, it's just I understand it now. I like playing again. I preach so much about playing video games as a video game and not a job. I've been doing that for years, but I haven't really been preaching it. Or I've been preaching it, but I haven't really been practicing it. And now I'm just at that point where I'm like, man, even if I'm gonna stream, which is my job, I still try out new cards and I have to be in the know because that's how I get the information to you guys, right? But when I play, like I really just try and score like the ways that I like scoring. I think that are fun, that I think are cool. And if I lose, I'm just like, all right, well, the game is designed to make you go 500, so I'll get it back eventually. So, all right, on to the most liked questions from the prior video. John says, in regards to Cup Chase rewards, if the Master Set player item for the event require 385 event items and 285 base, for example, I'd like to guarantee at least 185. I understand asking for more may be unreasonable, so I feel that should be the happy middle ground. Make me feel like I'm actually making real progress towards the event items. The community appreciates you, though. I work second shift, so I'm actually having my coffee listening to these in the mornings. Much love. John, I'm in 100% agreement with this. So I've gone back and forth with you guys a lot about the rewards and how I feel like a lot of people think that I don't have a problem with rewards because people have heard me say that if you all you care about is rewards, you're like addicted to the game and you just love gambling. That's such a blanket statement that's not true by me, and I think I need to expand on it a little bit more maybe, but like there is a delicate balance, right? But I also understand they're not going to give out endless rewards anymore. Those days are gone because it doesn't earn them enough money. It's like that is the reality of it, guys. Like it just is what it is. And if it upsets you and you think that it's not worth it, my advice is, yeah, don't engage. Like, don't engage. Like, when it comes to Cup Chase, this is the exact thing that I said. When it comes to rewards, the reward should scale in Cup Chase. If you can beat Superstar Cup Chase undefeated, you should get a guaranteed item that will work towards a master set item. Whatever it is, 100% in agreement here. This is how it should be. But they don't, because then they would give you too many resources towards a master set item and maybe you would spend money. No rant this episode. Starts with a rant. We love it, man. You unquestionably the best. Keep it up. I appreciate that, Binks. Hey, Sleeps. Thank EA for freeing up my weekend. The NHL game crashed, again, while playing Cup Chase. So I will not play their broken game for a while now. I'm not going to play a game that still crashes regularly, and frankly frustrates me to the point where I do not want to play any games made by EA. It is astonishing that even in the NHL 26 game, being solely made for next-gen consoles, the game still crashes regularly. Whether it's a server or programming, not my problem. Fix your game, EA. And thanks again, EA, for freeing up my weekend. I'll do something that I look forward to and definitely enjoy. I used to say, yeah, but they don't have a lot of resources. Like, they're under the EA banner, right? But they're an indie dev team. The game UI interface issues are inexcusable. And if the argument is we can't fix them because then we can't work on things for NHL 27 and people wouldn't buy it, have a bad year. It is unacceptable to charge full price for a video. I'm not even talking about microtransactions. I'm talking about full price for the video game. When in Hockey Ultimate Team, in NHL 26, yes, the menu looks different from that main screen. I knew, like, when I saw the motion background graphic, I was like, this is cool looking as long as it doesn't cause a memory issue for the rest of the menu. You can feel it leaking the longer you're in the game. The tab system is the exact same. It's just clear. Like, it's the same blocks. Fix it is unacceptable, man. It is 2025, and it's not like this is a new game and you're trying to figure out bugs. This is a franchise that has over 30 titles, and the menu system, for the most part, has been exactly the same since what, NHL 17? The only reason it's not fixed is because, yes, you want to fix it, but there's 10 other things ahead of it and that will probably move the needle on getting people to buy the game. I understand that. I don't care. It is unacceptable that the game just slowly gets slower and just crashes so frequently. If you play on Xbox, you're cooked because Cup Chase crashes so often still on Xbox. It doesn't really happen on PlayStation. And I don't know. It's just when I'm trying to do a set or something and I'm stuck there because it's so slow, I'm just like, it drives me up the wall because not because it's frustrating in the moment. It's just unacceptable from a full priced game. I like the new season thing and the line combos, but they need to buff rewards. It's too hard to get enough cards to enjoy HUT. We used to trade in our cards and make the new ones, but with line combos, the things we need to keep everything because combos make everything usable, so now we can't trade in cards to build new ones. We can only use rewards to get new cards. And the way they do the creation of new rewards, where they limit set-specific overalls, like only 81s and 82s, makes higher overalls virtually the same value as 81s and 82s. So giving 83s in the new rewards is not a buff to rewards because 83s are actually less valuable than 81s and 82s. You can't even use 83s to build stuff. Packs should increase in card count, and all packs should be plus packs with at least some chance of getting something big. I don't disagree. They won't do that. Again, the reason why is because if they gave you enough stuff to make it, then you would be less likely to burn. Again, it's not just about money because a lot of people don't spend money in the game. Like 85% will never spend money in the game, but you will spend your collection, and that's what they want you to do. Also, they need to drop more of the other cards, like goalie helmets, for instance. It's not a huge thing, but many of us players like to customize our teams and look. Bro, the uniform situation, I don't know why it's treated like gold, like a jersey. I want to use the Sharks' new retros. The Sharks actually sent me. I don't know if you saw it on Instagram. They sent me the 30th anniversary jersey, the jersey that started it all for me. Right. The jersey that started all, it's on the back. It's just Sharks 35. It's a influencer like promo one because they're 35th year. But I can't even use it. I can't find it in game. And then if I do, it's like 25,000 coins. Like enough, man. I'm with you. This is pretty tough, unfortunately. So that's gonna do it. Sorry to get too many comments. I'll be more comment driven. A lot of yapping today, but I hope you like the topics. Again, I'm still trying to figure this out and make it a little bit more interesting. Talking about everything. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I will see you guys later on. Have a good one.